voice, but it's okay.
Muted.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. It's time to get started. I'm going to go ahead and start recording. Everybody's muted now, okay?
The recording has started.
الله الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين اللهم جزيل. We're grateful to God for giving us this opportunity, and this is something that we have to remember, that all of these are by God's infinite grace and mercy that He has chosen us today, that we are actually able and willing to do this, and we have His love in our hearts and the will in our hearts that we are actually making connection with our Creator, which is the most important thing to do. The rest of the stuff, they are not important. The rest of the stuff is unimportant compared to this, compared to doing the contact prayer. That means that we make contact with our Creator, and so that's the only way that we can actually we can reach salvation and eternal life in paradise. Otherwise, everything is going to go to nothingness. So we have to remember this, that this whole thing is only by God's grace and His infinite grace and mercy that He has bestowed upon us today, and the favor that He has bestowed upon us. So we should be eternally grateful to our Creator for this unique opportunity, and take advantage of this, and get closer to Him, and become a better servant of God. Okay, now, this new year just started, and so make this one a sort of a time in the calendar that you change your ways and say, I did this wrong, and ask God for forgiveness, and if we did something wrong that was not befitting to us, then we have to change our ways and ask God for forgiveness and change our ways. And so this is the time that we can actually do that, make a sort of New Year resolution. A lot of people do it because they want to lose weight or something. Make this one to become a better servant of God. That's a very important thing that we have to remember, and that every day we are actually hopefully growing and getting closer to God, rather than and getting weaker and run away from God. So we have to ask God to guide us, and we should be grateful to Him for actually doing this today. Okay, just dialing this number or logging onto this website and commemorating God's name is the most important thing that could happen to us. We are making contact with Him, and He's actually responding to us all the time, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Every minute, every second, every microsecond of our lives, He responds to us. Okay, so today what I wanted to discuss with you is I want to go to this article that I have here. 19th positional active prime generates 9127. And so everything we do here in this thing is not based, again, it's not based on counting letters, counting words, counting this and that and the others, make it divisible by 19, and then everybody screams, hallelujah or something like that. Okay, that is not the way it's done. This is not how God does it. Okay, and I want to stress this. Okay, this is a mathematical approach, purely mathematical, and what it does actually, it says, okay, this mother book is everywhere. God calls the mother book, or the original tablet, or the eternal tablet. And when he calls it that, this is everywhere. This is not someplace on a website. It's not that somebody counted something and fiddled with things, okay? Things that have 50% or 60% probability of occurring. And then, you know, again, as I said, making all kinds of claims that those are nothing but insult to mathematics, an insult to statistics, an insult to intelligence of some people. And so we have to avoid those. So what we are doing here today, I've talked about this before, but I want to talk about it because there are more information just came in. So that's what I want to stress. So we'll look at 19th positional additive prime. This is a purely mathematical statement. Okay? This has nothing to do with the Quran, but now let's see how this actually generates the Quran. Because God tells us in the Quran, over it is 19. That's what he says. Okay? That's the only information we have. Okay, so I look at this and I say, okay, positional additive prime means that you add it to its index, a prime added to its index becomes another prime. Okay? So here, the 19th positional additive prime, the following table is the best way to explain it. Okay, so the 19th one is 98 plus 521. 521 is a prime number. You add it to its index, which is 98, becomes 619. This is the 19th such prime in mathematics. It's unique. No one can change this. Okay? And this statement is a literal statement. Chapter 19 has 98 verses. Just from this one, from this. You can check this. 19 is the 8th prime, and chapter 98 has 8 verses. If you look at chapter 98, it's called the proof. Okay? 619 happens to be the 114th prime number, and 114 is the number of chapters in the Quran. 19 times 521 is equal to 9899 is the frequency of Aleph plus Lam plus Mim in chapter 2. Okay? So again, I didn't go count that and say, okay, which one of these guys are correct? Is Rashad is correct, or the revisionist that came after Rashad and said Rashad was wrong? This just says Rashad was right. Those other guys, their claims does not hold water. Okay? So this is what we get from the 19th. Okay? We get this from the 19th positionally additive prime. Okay. I haven't counted anything, haven't done anything. Okay. So now let's go. The last bullet is the key to generate 9127. Namely 19 and 521. Here we know that both 19 and 521 are also twin primes. I talked about this before. I'm just reminding you how this is actually connected to the 748 that we were discussing. Okay. Also twin primes. Remember two witnesses. Remember that 9128 and 9129 were claimed to be only witnessed by this guy who has the nickname of the possessor of two testimonies. Right? The same people who claim that Muhammad, when push came to shove, he basically said, who cares about God's commandment? I'm going to give this guy a title. These are the same people who think that you go to school and you get a title. Okay? You either call yourself the Pope, or you call yourself Ayatollah or Imam or something by going to a school and get a degree. Okay? That's what they think. The 7th twin prime is 19, and the 48th twin prime is 521. Okay, so now, coming down here, and the 748th lonely prime happens to be 9127. And so immediately from 19 and 521, we generated again 9127, which again points to 9 having 127 verses. Now let's look at 748. Okay, I just want to point out these small things that everybody can verify. Okay? All you need is basically a second grade education to verify what I'm just saying here. It says, first, we know that the digital sum of 748, i.e. 7 plus 4 plus 8 is equal to 19. Furthermore, the digital sum of 9127 also happens to be 9 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 7 is equal to 19. So it gets a little bit more complicated now. But it's not even the realm of impossibility for somebody who doesn't have, what do you call it? Who doesn't have the patience to go through. The jaded public out there. Okay, that they get tired, their attention span is less than a 2-year-old. Okay? We also know that 9127 is the 90th group element in the following table of the commutation group elements here. And then it is 9127, the 90th group element. Okay? What did God say in chapter 73? He said over this 19. He said, all of the people who reject the Quran will be proven by the number 19 that they have won. That's what he says. Then we proven wrong by the number 19. So this should be enough. For any person with a level head, this should be enough. No, it's not enough. So God keeps doing this. He says he's the possessor of the most powerful argument, keeps proving this over and over again. Okay. Yeah. Now we factor 748 into its prime components or constituents. See what happens. It's 2 times 2 times 11 times 17. If you multiply those 4 numbers, it becomes 748. That's called the prime constituents or prime components of 748. The indices of these primes are, these are new, okay? This is what I told you. It's 1157. This number is a biprime and its index is 41. Then we have 341 is equal to 11 times 31, but the 1131st prime happens to be 9127 again. Okay? So why is God doing this? Because God creates things based on the truth, not falsehood. Falsehood cannot generate anything, cannot produce anything. That's why he's doing this. God is the truth. Well, now, we go here, and I had this, on this verse that I discussed this before. This is in order for the truth to prevail and the falsehood to vanish, despite the displeasure of the guilty. They don't like it. They still want to stick to the lies and the deceits and the falsehood. That's what they want to do. But God does it differently, because God says that if it's not the truth, it will not be created. That's what he tells us. So everything that God does is based on the truth. Every creation is based on the truth. We can't have an alternate type of thing. And say, well, if this was the case. No, that would not be the case. God wouldn't create falsehood. But he says that this is despite the displeasure of the guilty, because they wouldn't like it. And now, the next one says that when you implore your Lord, he immediately responds to you. Okay? Sometimes, I get, you remember about the thing about the night of power? Okay. When I didn't know and I thought that was the case, that's an insult to God. If you think that way, the way I used to think, and only he responds on that night. So people have to billion, okay? They want their kids to be 6'3", 6'4", okay? And it doesn't happen. All of a sudden they say, well, okay, well, it's not doing any good, so I shouldn't do it. God responds all the time. Any way thinking other than that is an insult to God. It's a blasphemy against God. And he said that, okay, what did he do? As indeed I am helping you with 1,000 angels in rows. That's what he did with these people who fight. The angels cannot be seen. Right? 8:12 down here. 8:12, and the Lord is by the angels that I am with you. Right? You listen to CNN, they neglect this first part of this verse. I will soon throw terror into the hearts of those who have faith. Therefore you shall disrupt all communication. You shall cut off their necks. That's how it's been translated. Okay? And cut off their fingers. That's how it's been translated. So in that case, the people of ISIS are Quranic scholars. They know exactly what they're doing, and that's the verse. And Mr. Farid Zakaria does not tell you the whole verse. Okay? But those guys that wanted the falsehood have the microphone in front of them, and they do not apologize for dispersing falsehood, for propagating error. So what can you do? But these are the verses. These are the correct verses that Quran is telling us. Okay. So that's what the angels do. The angels cannot be seen. The angels do not cut off heads. They do not cut off fingers. They don't have swords. I mean, we have to come to ourselves, okay, and stop this. This is not a constructive approach to things. Why are we doing this? There are some psychopath individuals, they go around this world, okay, and they cut off heads and all kinds of stuff. They burn people alive, okay, and these people are the most renowned Quranic scholars, all of a sudden. And the other guy comes in there in the defense of them, and he says, yes, I know this is because of this verse. Who cares when your Lord said that it's by the angels? We just neglect that part. That commandment is for people like those criminals who are running around and cutting off heads and everything and doing all kinds of mischief in this world. We try to tell those people that this is because of the Quran. It's not in spite of what the Quran says, is according to the Quran. And they know it very well. And we don't know it, so let me tell you about it. Okay. Okay. So we come in here and tell you about this thing, okay? Even this has enemies. Okay? This prime number has enemies. Many, many enemies. Anecdotal, this and that. The others, all kinds of names. Okay? He explained this anecdotally. When was the last time that you told me what the 1131st prime was immediately? Do you know that? Do you know what the 1 millionth prime is? Before you start saying anecdotal? Maybe that's the most sophisticated English word that he can speak when he says that. Anecdotal. Okay, but they say it. So anyway, that's the way. But you got to look at these yourselves. You go listen to this news and that news and stuff like that. Okay, before you lose faith, you have to look at these things yourself and see what God is talking about. What's He saying? And to somehow, I don't know, but anyway, the stuff that I'm telling you here are generated by mathematics. Right? And so what God is telling us that we are surrounded by these commandments in the Quran. Okay? These people have no knowledge. You know why they don't have any knowledge? Okay. Read Proverbs 1:7. God says the fear of God is the beginning of knowledge. If you have no fear of God, if you have no respect for God, you have no knowledge. God said in the Quran, He said, He teaches man what he does not know. Then you expect criminals to learn things, to know things, because they have no fear of God in their hearts. So God, before the Quran, He revealed 23,145 verses in the Old Testament. Then they didn't take it. They threw it away. They changed it according to their own wishes because they didn't like the way it was said things to them. And God said, okay, there is 7,957 more verses in the New Testament. They didn't like it. They did everything to disobey it. Because God says the fools would not respect knowledge and instruction. And then God sent again 6,346 verses, and they changed that one too. They added 2 verses, and you see that how it sticks out. How God says it's 9127 no matter what you say. So again, as I said, we have to be very careful with this, okay? And I'm going to stop here and we'll finish this rakat. Allah al-Kareem. سبحان ربي العظيم الله الكبير الله الكبير الله الكبير الله الكبير الله الكبير. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم الله الكبير. What I want to do now in this track, I want to go back to the beginning of the Quran actually. So here, I'm just going to read the English here. Okay, so we read just read the Al-Fatiha. So we're going to do this. It says that in the name of God, the All-Gracious, the All-Merciful. Praise God, Lord of the Multiverse. Again, the All-Gracious, the All-Merciful, Lord of the Day of Faith. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Again, this asking for help is all the time. Not a specific time during the day, not a specific day during the year. Okay? Guide us to the straight path. So, the path of those whom you have blessed, not of those whom deserve wrath, nor the strayers. Okay? I had questions about this in my own mind. Okay? We have to do this. We have to analyze these things within our own head. Does God says, I've given you the hearing, the eyesight, and the mind, and you are responsible for using them. Okay? And now, but we have to do this in the light of the knowledge that comes from God to us. And then God will explain it why He says it that way. Okay? Guide us to the straight path. Now, I thought about this a little bit, and I said, "Oh my God, straight path is an infinitely dimensional statement. Okay? It's a statement that could be in the case of going from point A to point B, that you want to go to the straight path, you don't want to go a crooked path. It's an easier path. Right? You could think of this thing being at your disposal all the time. It will be convenient for you. Okay? When you're landing on a runway, you would like to go in a straight path. You don't want to go into a crooked path, obviously. Otherwise, your train is going to be ending up on the side road or something. Right? So all of those are straight paths. So which path is it that we are actually asking for? So the path of those whom you have blessed. So who are these people? Job was a blessed guy by God. Job was blessed. Did he have an easy thing? No. He was put through the test. Okay? Muhammad was evicted from his home. Did he have an easy path? No. Okay? Well, a lot of other people have a much easier path, but their path was not the path of those whom God had blessed. Not of those whom deserve wrath. They could have had an easier path. Okay. Moses didn't have an easy path. He was chased all over God's green earth, if you will, by the pharaohs. So anyway, and he says that no of the strayers. He was a strayer, wasn't he? So we don't want his easy path. That's not the path we are asking. But all of those are straight paths, and God provided for them. They had hanging fruit within reach. But we don't want that. What we want the path of those whom you have blessed. We want the path of Jesus, we want the path of Moses, we want the path of Muhammad, we want those paths. They never complained. Did Joseph complain? What his brothers did to him? I mean, those are the type of things that we have. But which path do you want? Do you want the path of the brothers? That they had a much easier life during that time that Joseph did? No, because those guys won't be strayers. Those guys didn't understand it. So when we read these things, we have to think about it. You know how many times we've read this one? We do this 17 times a day. Hopefully, you will miss it. So 17 times a day, we have to think about these things. What is it? What is it that we are actually looking for? What is we are asking for? We are asking the same path that his righteous servants actually had. That's what the path that we want, which was the path of God. Which, where the fear of God is the beginning of knowledge. The rest of it is irrelevant. So it doesn't matter, as I said, what you have in this world. Okay? What actually is good and everlasting is that path. That's the straight path that we are asking for. And God will fix the rest of it in paradise, which is the eternal existence actually is. Otherwise, it's going to be eternal damnation with nothingness. That's what God is telling us. As I've tried to say it, and that existence in hell is basically non-existence. But the only thing that person actually understands is that he actually does not exist. Okay, and that idea is so painful to that person, and that's eternal. Okay. Where nobody has any power, nobody has any helper. All those things that people enjoyed in this world, when they were asked to fall prostrate to God, and they didn't. When they were whole and able, they made all kinds of excuses. Okay, why they should not do their contact prayers. They made fun of other people who were doing their contact prayers. And they encouraged them not to do it. And God says in chapter 96, do not follow this person. So again, this is something that I wanted to share with you. Okay, so I'm gonna finish for the this Jummah prayers. Allahu Kabir. Subhan Rabbi al-Azim. Allahu Kabir. Allahu Kabir. Subhan Rabbi al-Azim. Allahu Kabir. Allahu Kabir. Subhan Rabbi al-Azim. Allahu Kabir. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله والله الكبير. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الله الكبير. سبحان ربي العظيم. الله الكبير. الله الكبير. الله الكبير. الله الكبير. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم. الله الكبير. سبحان ربي العظيم. الله الكبير. الله الكبير. سبحان ربي الأعلى. الله الكبير. الله الكبير. سبحان ربي الأعلى. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك ولم يكن له الله الكبير. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. Everyone, Allah. Shalom.
Thank you, Dr. Fudge. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum.